Viewers, is the bubble of mendacity about to burst? The Varanasi District Court has taken a giant stride. It has ruled in favor of making the Archaeological Survey of India's report on Gyanvapi Mosque complex public. The ASI had carried out a scientific survey of the Gyanvapi premises located next to the Kashi Vishwanath temple to determine whether the 17th century mosque was constructed over a pre-existing structure of a Hindu temple. The Hindu side that wants to reclaim the site on which the Gyanvapi Mosque has been built is convinced that it was built upon a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. The Muslim side, represented by the Gyanvapi Masjid committee, denies this. Just as with respect to Ayodhya, the contest over the Gyanvapi Mosque is also playing out in court. A little about what lies beneath is already known, thanks to a survey report prepared by the Advocate Commissioner in 2022. Viewers, let me take you through what that report prepared by the Advocate Commissioner had implied. He found a shivling-like structure in the Wazukhana, which is within the premises of the Gyanvapi Mosque. He found the remains of a crimson-colored idols, images of deities, swastika, bells, all were found there, viewers. Flowery kalash and trishul found, lotus symbol found engraved on stones, 4 remnants of Aishwarya Mandap were also seen. All these, viewers, are undeniably Hindu symbols. Now, while it is always advisable to wait for the ASI report's findings to be made public, there is widespread historical consensus that the site of the Gyanvapi Mosque was witness to a terrible desecration. The most convincing account of this odious vandalism is offered by the vandal himself, viewers. Emperor Aurangzeb. Saki Mustad Khan, an official in Aurangzeb's court, was tasked by the bigoted Mughal himself to chronicle his rule, past, present and future. The chronicle, called Masir-e Alamgiri, records with a measure of fawning admiration that Aurangzeb gave orders to destroy all schools and temples in Varanasi and other parts of India. Khan notes that on September 2nd, 1669, Aurangzeb's orders were duly carried out by his bigoted cohorts and the Kashi Vishwanath temple was demolished. Even if we are to discount this most consequential proof, other equally persuasive accounts exist confirming the tyranny unleashed by Aurangzeb on the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Peter Mundy, an East India Company servant as he described himself, wrote in his memoir, quote, "A journey from Agra to Patna," unquote, of a temple, and a time in September 1632 where he chanced upon Hindu, quote, "women pouring libations over a lingam," unquote. His sketch from the journal titled Mahadev is an evocative statement to the ardent devotion of Kashi Shiv Bhakts. Viewers, for you, because I always believe that the hard facts must speak, I have been able to access this journal and the sketch. Here is the copy of the journal, viewers, and here is the sketch. And in this sketch, you will see a large number of women that have been drawn out using a pencil. And these women sketched out by pencil are offering libations on this lingam, viewers, very clearly visible, and you can see the water dripping down from its base. There's the lingam. Now, viewers, what is very, very important to note is that Mundy's account is critical to the case, as it was spent 37 years before Aurangzeb gave his order to demolish the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Viewers, that pretty much is conclusive, isn't it? Those looking for more, then they'll have to turn to British Administrator James Prinsep, who noted the oddity of a Muslim structure straddling a Hindu temple by remarking pithily that, quote, "the dome and minarets surmounting the Hindu walls were the work of Aurangzeb, unquote. Incidentally, the authenticity of these accounts has never been called into question and therefore constitute important evidence in support of the Hindu claim. Viewers, I have listed to you and for you the historical fact. The fear is that even if the ASI report confirms the historical account, there is no guarantee that those opposed to the Hindu side will accept the report. If the past is anything to go by, remember the lengths to which they went to bury the ASI findings in the Ayodhya case. I'm not saying this, viewers. K.K. Mohammed, who was one of the surveyors in B.B. Lal's team, said so. And if the past is anything to then go by, viewers, the response will be one of denial or worse, insulting. Recall how some trivialized Hindu Aastha when the advocate commissioner suggested that the shivling-like structure was observed in the mosque premises. This is what was said, viewers. Every mosque has a fountain. It can't be a shivling. This is Asaduddin Owaisi, the chief of the AIMIM. It's not a shivling. It's a fountain. Can prove it, said the Anjuman Intezamiya Mosque. That is, of course, a litigant in this matter. Hindus should not worship private parts of a human body. Can you imagine, viewers? This was also said. Hope Bhabha Atomic Research Center not on digging list, said the peerless Mahua Moitra of the TMC. Viewers, the fact is that they have mocked Hindu Aastha. What is the guarantee that they will not trivialize the truth when it emerges in the ASI report? This is the fundamental question that we need to pose this evening, and let's open it up, viewers. Let's ask this question, and I want to first begin this evening with two very critical individuals. One is Harishankar Jain, who needs no introduction, viewers. He's been leading the battle for the reclamation of the Kashi Vishwanath temple, of the Gyanvapi Masjid site, and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, who himself has written a book where he has mentioned in laborious detail some of what I have told you. But as usual, he will have the X factor, and therefore he is here. Now, I want to begin with you, Mr. Harishankar Jain, because you are so critical to this entire matter and we all salute your contribution. Why are you so confident that the ASI report will reveal that there is a Hindu temple under the Gyanvapi Mosque?
The truth is always truth. And it is a true fact that it was constructed after demolishing Hindu structure, Hindu temple. And the western wall, very clear, that is more than 1,000 years old. We are confident that there are certain artifacts which have been discovered by SI. Their age is too ancient. The Shilalekh has also been found, which will establish that the Aurangzeb had passed an order to demolish the temple and construct the mosque. Everything will be clear. And I am sure that the SI will give correct and honest report. Therefore, these correct facts will certainly come out and before the court.
Now,
because the fact is there.
I was going
over... It's not
over...
a question of belief. A question of historical fact which existing at the place in question.
Okay. Mr. Jain, I have been going over the Allahabad High Court judgment in a previous iteration. And what I discovered was that the High Court said very clearly that the Waqf was not constituted on the land to build the mosque. How did the court conclude this, Mr. Jain?
Yes, that is very true. Because the Waqf can be created only on the land of which Waqif is the owner.
Okay.
And if Waqif is not the owner, you can't establish any mosque. And in this case, there is no evidence, there is no document to prove that any Waqf was ever created and the land was delegated to Almighty. Is nothing on record. And they are not able to file any document up till now to contend that the land in question was dedicated to Almighty.
So there has
Therefore,
been
no work was created.
okay.
And it is very clear from the record itself.
So there is no document to attest to this fact. Now, if that is the case, if a waqf was not formed, then would it be fair to say that the structure is not a mosque at all? Can this be inferred, sir?
It is a condition precedent. Under Islamic law, this is a condition precedent that for a mosque waqf should be there. And mosque can be constructed only on waqf land. No Maulvi or Islamic scholar can refute this fact and this Islamic law that mosque can always be constructed over a waqf property. And for construction of mosque, the waqf should be the owner. He must dedicate it to the Almighty. Only then the mosque or any other religious structure can be raised at that waqf land. It is not a waqf land, and there is nothing. Even the Gazette notification, which they say that it is a Gazette notification, that is in respect of other land, not in regard to this land. And simply, otherwise, even simply notifying any property as a waqf land, it will not create a waqf. It must establish that it was a waqf in the beginning, and dedication must be proved. In this case, dedication is not improved, and they have no evidence for that.
Okay.
There is no deed.
There
no
is
deed,
no
no
deed.
document.
There
to
is no
establish
deed,
that.
no document. So no one should actually have a problem hanging on to a structure. Fundamentally, I know that the Islamic scholar amongst us, Mr. Atikur Rahman, is raising his hand. I'll come to you, Mr. Rahman. That is rather the more incidental point. I'll come to that with you. But I thank you, Harishankar Jain ji. Thank you very much for putting this in perspective for all our viewers. So viewers, two very critical things have been said. That there has been already a survey that has been conducted by the Advocate Commissioner that Harishankar Jain is referring to. And thank you, sir, for taking the time out. Harishankar Jain has said that there is enough evidence there to suggest that this is a Hindu structure, even if we weren't to take into account the historical literature that I have brought forward tonight, viewers. And secondly, no waqf was ever formed, so there should be no problem. In fact, it appears strange that if this structure is of no real religious importance, why is it becoming such a point of contention? Anyhow, let me open that up. Thank you, Mr. Harishankar Jain. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Let me go across to Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, look, we've heard Mr. Harishankar Jain. He's not somebody who's going to mislead us because he said exactly this in the court of law on oath. So, where is the problem then? If this is not a consequential structure, and if it does matter so much to the Hindus, why create such a hullabaloo and stop the Hindus from?
Yeah, good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. You asked, where is the problem? Well, the problem is the clash of civilizations, if I were to surmise it in one sentence. And my pranams, 1,000 pranams to Harishankar Jain ji. But at the same time, my million apologies to him as well, because for the first time, if I may, I possibly pay penance later, but disagree with him because, of course, he's a lawyer and he's talked about the waqf has not consecrated it, so there is not a mosque there. I don't care if the mosque is there or not. The temple was there. That's all I care. The temple was there. In fact, let the mosque be there. Let it be a lesson to anyone who has perpetrated and committed a historical wrong. I want the mosque to be there. Why not? We are seeking a legal recourse to correct the injustices meted out to our ancestors. And when I mean our, I mean 1.4 billion Indians, not just 1 billion Hindus. I include 250 million Muslims whose Hindu ancestors were also wronged. Washing your dirty feet at the most sacred of places for Hindus does not change Gyanvapi's religious character, Rahul. I'm sorry. It just exposes your character. If the holiest shrine of some other religion was demolished and people of another faith stomped their dirty feet on the sacred relics as they walked inside the place of worship, this country would have witnessed a civil war. But Hindus have been conditioned to take humiliation, to suffer airbrushing of history. We've seen it in the last 10 days. Even now, people don't believe that there was a magnificent temple of Hindu origin under the Babri Mosque. Even now. Rahul, remember this. You can airbrush history, but you can't airbrush a civilization. No, you can't. Aurangzeb tried to. But our ancestors foiled his plan. It is beyond any doubt. In fact, written in the most authentic biography of Aurangzeb, Masir Alamgiri, that in 1669, on orders of Aurangzeb, the Kashi Vishwanath temple was demolished. The Farman is also archived in Bikaner archives. What more do you want? And here is Sir Jadunath Sarkar's translation of Masir Alamgiri, page 52, quote. Aurangzeb, eager to establish Islam, issued orders to the governors of all provinces to demolish the schools and temples of the infidels, with the utmost urgency put down the teachings of the public practice of religion of these misbelievers, unquote. And yet, there are those who deny the Hindus their legitimate right to correct historical injustice. And I don't care about politicians or commentators. I really don't. We've reached a stage now. But the problem is principle among them are our legislature and the judiciary. To me, Rahul, one of the most barbaric legislations ever enacted in India is the 1991 Places of Worship Act. But in 2019, the virtue signaling Supreme Court, in its Ayodhya judgment, willfully ratified this act that obligates maintaining all religious places as they were on August 15, 1947. A legal recourse to correct historical injustice cannot be denied in a democracy. Where are we living? Is it a banana republic? The Supreme Court said the Places of Worship Act speaks to our history and to the future of the nation. Wrong, my lords. This law airbrushes our history and it destroys our future. Now, in a minute, let me expose the victimhood peddled charlatan completely. Rahul, I welcome the court judgment that says that the Places of Worship Act does not bar the maintainability of the Hindu claim to claim Gyanvapi. Good. This had to happen as just 4 reasons. Number one, Hindus have been worshipping Ma Shringar Gauri inside the so-called Gyanvapi Mosque almost every day before 1993 and once a year after 1993. Religious character of the Gandhi peace structure there and only been Hindu, but there is more. Number two, a little distance away from Ma Gauri is the wuzu, where Muslims have been washing their dirty feet. In this wuzu was discovered the shivling that Muslims claim is a fountain. Number three, a little distance away still is the Vyas Parivar Tehkana. Now this is interesting because the Vyas Parivar was worshipping in that cellar till November 1993 when, ironically, in grave violation of Section 3 of the Places of Worship Act itself, the Mulayam Singh government threw out the Vyas Parivar from their own cellar. Did the religious character of the place not change then? 4. Finally, further violations of the Place of Worship Act were committed against Hindus, the chopping of the sacred people tree, the removal of the Ganesh idol and the Hanuman idol. But it is the Hindus who have been taught that they are violating the Place of Worship Act by changing the religion of their mosque. How much more will we suffer? I want to ask this question.
Well, let me bring in Lokesh Jindal. He's representing the Congress point of view. He's a member of the party also. It's not as if he's incidental. He's an advocate, learned man, student of the law. Now, Mr. Jindal, forget about facilitating the Hindu right to legal recourse to seek justice. Forget about facilitating that. You even block their right, their fundamental right, which Dr. Ranganathan says is a complete violation of fundamental rights, to approach a court by passing that god-awful 1991 Place of Worship Act. Lokesh Jindal, why this? Why this absolute animosity towards a particular community? I don't understand. What is the genesis?
Yes. Well, Rahul, while we claim the rights that we enjoy from the Constitution, we must also bear in mind the fundamental duties that we all must adhere to. It's important. The Constitution requires every Indian citizen to preserve its rich cultural heritage. And when my dear friend Anand Ranganathan talks about civilization, the civilization is not simply resting upon religion. Religion is a component of civilization. It's not that the civilization is one component of religion. Religion is always an organic institution which grows, over a period of time. There were medieval times where there were religion that was one of the motives for disputes, conflicts. We saw Shaivites, they had conflicts with Vaishnavites. We saw that there were Jains who had conflicts with the Vaishnavites. We saw that there were conflicts between Islam and the Hindu tenets. But then that was the time period of medievals. The post-colonial India after 1947 decided that India would be a secular state. It would leave the past behind as a cultural heritage. And in the name of historical justice, we are not going to impose injustice in the present times. The places of worship Act 1991 is an expression of the idea of secularism, which was explicitly and implicitly imbibed into the constitution, which also forms the basic bedrock of Indian democracy. Now, if you I'm very eager to see the Archaeological Survey of India report, but that report is only as a history enthusiast, but not as a means so as to completely ride over the Indian constitution, again do the historical injustice. In fact, it was Mohan Bhagwat on the day of Pran Pratishtha,
What is the language?
stated
Again to
that
historical
now
Let him finish.
we must resort to harmony. He said, now we must resort to compassion. We must stop here. Because he also knows that wherever all this is heading to is going to destroy the very idea of India. So I would appeal to you, to all of our viewers, that
Okay, Jindal Saab, you have
historical
misquoted.
passions, religious passions are a different
No, you are absolutely right.
aspect altogether, but it's very important to understand
We are law-abiding.
the historical context as well as the Constitution of India,
Okay,
on which
the
we
Constitution of India, allows for every person to seek redressal through constitutional means. You'll agree, no, sir? And what is that constitutional meal? Which is go to a court. Right, now you say, we must preserve our rich heritage. Of course. But I want to ask you very quickly, Mr. Lokesh Jindal, and I think Dr. Ranganathan as well as the BJP spokesperson wants to come in, so I'm not going to stand in the way. Just very quick and very short answer I need from you. What is rich about the cultural impulse?
An opportunity to rebuttal this.
Yeah, of course. What is rich, in your words, about the cultural impulse that created a heritage of hate, sir? Why would anyone want to hang on to a heritage of hate? Can you explain this to me, Jindal Saab?
Rahul, history took various forms. It's like a springboard where you look at the past to leap into the future. You do not judge the past, whether it's hateful, whether it is something that you have to be
Okay,
proud of.
I got it.
whether
Now,
it's good,
I've understood. Don't judge the past. That's why, viewers, the Congress party did not give justice to Sikhs. Because it was the past, you see. 40 years they languished. And Kashmiri Hindus. 30 years, viewers, they languished. No justice because, bhul jao ji, what is past is past. Let bygones be bygones. When the earth shakes when a big tree falls. This is their mentality, viewers. And then you say there has to be reconciliation in society. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, you were making a point and then I want the BJP to come in. Yeah.
Very, very briefly, Lokesh is a very dear friend, but I take strong and grave objection to him, speaking in such derogatory fashion about ASI. ASI used scientific tools and Dr. K.K. Mohammed is a national treasure. In 1976-77, they unearthed the temple underneath the Babri Mosque. It took another 30-40 years for us to come to the conclusion that yes, indeed, they were right. But the fact that Lokesh just said, ASI should not be allowed to commit another injustice, what does it mean by that? What injustice did the ASI commit? It just found out that there was, Lokesh, please don't interrupt. Number two, the fact of the matter is that when you are saying that we must live in synchronicity, we must have secularism, are you or are you not supporting the construction of the Ram temple? Are you or are you not? Say you are not. Say you are against the Ram temple then. And finally, this is not a religious issue at all, Rahul. I am at pains to say this. If my good friend Atikur Rahman were to show me that a mosque was demolished by a Hindu king and a temple built on top of it, and you can still see the facade or the pillars or the foundation of the mosque, I will accompany him to the High Court. For him, I will stand with him to seek justice. And very finally, The most important thing out here that you have to remember is the fact, Rahul, that this nation is tired. This nation is tired because historically so many wrongs have been committed and people remember them. I don't even want to go to the fact that India's third oldest mosque in Mangalore has a Garbhagriha. It has tinkling temple bells. It has a pond at the back. Have you ever seen in your life a mosque which has temple bells? It, by the way, forbidden in Hadith. Have you ever seen a mosque that has a Garbhagriha? Are you saying that Hindus should not even approach the court to legally reclaim what was theirs? What kind of country is this?
No, it's not, are they saying? They mean it. They passed a law. The Place of Worship Act 1991, it forbids you to go to court.
Let me ask
To fight for your religious rights. Now, one second, sir. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say exactly what you said to me. So, unless you have something stirringly new, let me bring in the BJP also, Siddharth Yadav. The point is that the Place of Worship Act stands in the way like a colossus. And Mr. Yadav, your government hasn't taken, despite repeated reminders from the Supreme Court, a position on it. I think at least 3 times you have been asked, what is your position on it? Do you stand for it or do you stand against it, sir?
Rahul, first of all, my friend from Congress was saying, he was speaking about the civilization and the civilizational history, and all he could remember was the differences between Vaishnavites and Shivites, the differences between Jains and Vaishnavites, Islamites and Hindus. That is the problem. Our civilizational history is not one of divisiveness. It is of unifying nature, and that is why Ram is the symbol of our civilization. It is the basis of our civilization. But the Congress party would not get to that, because the Congress party has chosen to be on a side of history for their current political gains and nothing else. If I as an Indian has to choose what my history is, I would not choose Aurangzeb to be my history. He is not my history. He is not my ancestor. One who kills his brothers, one who kills his father mercilessly, one who destroys anyone who comes on his way. He is not my history. He is not my ancestor. Bharat is my ancestor, who keeps the khadau and who waits for his brother, who does the rule in Ram Rajya, who waits that Ram will come. Ram is the ideal king. That I have to choose, and that the people of this country will also choose. But the Congress party, unfortunately, and all such political parties, for their latest political gains, have to resort to such things, and that is why historically we have seen that they have always opposed the civilizational undoing of the wrongs.
But you are now in power.
There is no doubt.
One second, Jindal, Mr. Jindal, 1 second.
Rahul,
no, 1 second, Mr. Yadav.
Now I'll answer your question. What
please.
You asked me.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Now I'll answer your question. Once you ask me what is the position and why the Places of Worship Act is there and how will the civilizational wrongs be undone, there is only one thing that I have to say, Rahul. There's a very famous saying, समय से पहले और भाग्य से ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं मिलता. Now, समय भी आ चुका है और भारत का भाग्य भी जग रहा है. सब कुछ मिलेगा. आप इंतजार करिए. Now the time has also come, and India, Bharat is also now fortunate enough to have a leadership, to have a party which is committed to undo all civilizational wrongs. If we can write it in our manifesto, if we can promise to the people, and if we can deliver after all they said to us for so many years.
So आप ये कह रहे हैं कि, so you're saying that the BJP will guarantee.
1991.
So the BJP is guaranteeing. You're saying अब BJP की गारंटी अगले चुनाव में ये होगी कि Place of Worship Act 1991 रद्द किया जाएगा. Is that what you're saying, Siddharth Yadav? How is this not a colonial imposition on us?
No, Rahul, what I'm saying is all civilizational wrongs will be undone by this party.
But how will it be undone? The court,
we are going to eradicate
D.Y. Chandrachud,
it is already undone.
The Chief Justice of India.
We are already fighting for Mathura and Kashi. And we will succeed like we did in Ayodhya.
Mr. Jain is, okay, 1 second. Dr. Ranganathan wants to step in. Yes.
Now, Siddharth is a very good friend, but Ram Mandir historical injustice was undone because it was the sole exception in the Place of Worship Act.
Yes.
The POW does not apply to the Ram temple.
No, let me
what
ask
Rahul
him.
is asking you is the fact, are you for or are you against? You can say personally or as a party position, are you for or are you against Siddharthji against the Place of Worship Act? It's a yes or no question.
इसमें तो इंतजार मत कराओ सर.
There is no doubt, Anand ji. Anand ji, there is no doubt in that
Yeah.
that any such act which restricts for the undoing of any civilizational law, the Bharatiya Janata Party is not going to support that.
Okay.
If
Well,
we say we are standing for Kashi and Mathura, if we are saying we are standing for Kashi and Mathura,
that
says it all.
Wonderful.
We are the only ones who are saying.
Okay, Mr. Yadav,
you
that's
leave
a wonderful.
Ayodhya is now done.
Yeah,
Ask
okay.
any of such parties come together and say the same thing for Krishna Janmabhoomi.
Okay.
None of them will say it.
None of them
We
will
are
say it.
saying it.
Okay,
So we
okay.
are standing where we are standing, or we are proud of that.
Okay, they are proud of that. Let's see, viewers. Time we have waited. Nandi has waited for 500 years. 500 years, viewers. Time is not a consequence. But yes, principles are, and I'm glad that today Mr. Yadav has stood with principle. Now let me bring in the scholar. Now, Atikur Rahman, I'm just asking you, I'm not saying this, the High Court has said this. Now the High Court is a respectable, venerable institution. And it says that there is no documentary proof that even a Waqf was formed to construct the Gyanvapi Mosque. First, sir, why do you think there is no documentary proof with the Intizamiya, which is the Masjid Committee? Number two, if there is no documentary proof that a Waqf has been created, can we say that this Gyanvapi Mosque is actually a mosque? Atikur Rahman Saab.
Rahul, before we go into correcting any historical wrongs, may I submit that I am not an Islamic scholar, I am just a researcher on Islamic studies.
Okay.
Now, the question you have asked is, even the Honorable Jain Saab also pointed out that it is essential for a Waqf to be having a mosque. It is not correct. I would not agree with him, because there are several and many, I would say, mosques which are on private lands, but which has been worked to the community, not to the Waqf boards. And the owner of that land pays the taxes, the municipal taxes, but still the mosques are in existence. Now, that apart, it is becoming very, very hard for me, Rahul, day by day, to prove or to at least, tell the people around me that the Muslims of India are not into any clash of civilization. If it had been the correct position of the Muslims in India, then the courts would not have been there in place, but the Muslims and Hindus must be fighting on the streets. So rest assured, Mr. Anand, there is no.
Can I ask you a question, Atikur Saab? If there is no clash of civilization, would you allow the nation of Israel to subsist?
No, beyond the borders, I am not talking. I am talking within the Indian border.
Would you then tell me why Kashmiri Hindus were kicked out of Kashmir?
Yeah, it was a it was a stigma on the face of Islam. That
So
my
there is-
Hindu brethren.
Can you answer, sir, why the Jaish-e-Mohammed is called the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Toiba is called the Lashkar-e-Toiba?
I will be spitting on the name of Jaish or on Islamic, with the names of Islamic.
Then why did so many youth from Kerala go and sign up for the Al-Qaeda, the ISIS, Islamic State, the Lashkar-e-Toiba and company?
They will be dealt with very harshly by Allah.
No, but why did they? No, I don't know about that, but the fact is, and I hope so.
Just 10 seconds.
Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, 10 seconds, yes.
I really respect Rahman Saab, but what an amazing line of questioning, one after another. And every time, the good Mr. Rahman could only say, well, it was wrong that was committed. Well, they will be strictly dealt with. Well, this is not the way. The fact of the matter is, there is ample proof that it is clash of civilization. Please read Ambedkar on it. And finally, 10 seconds. Here, if you don't believe us, if you don't believe Hari Janji, if you don't believe anybody else, Rahul, let me at least implore you to believe Salman Khurshid, who I now quote, in 1669, the temple Kashi Vishwanath temple was destroyed yet again by Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, who ordered the construction of the Gyanvapi Mosque in its place, unquote, from his book, Sunrise over Ayodhya. Please go and read at least Salman Khurshid.
Well, forget even, no, one second, sir, I need to move on. Let me also add, Dr. Ranganathan, I didn't get a chance to finish. if it's not a clash of civilizations, why in AMU was a portrait of Jinnah hung so tall and celebrated? What was Jinnah's cause? We cannot live with Hindus.
Rahul, forget about Jinnah. Why is Sir Syed so venerated in AMU? He was the one who said that Hindus and Muslims are two antagonistic races.
And
He was the
Allama
first one
Iqbal.
to support their two-nation theory.
And the great Allama Iqbal, who
Are
came
you
up.
into hate speech?
No, I'm not into. I'm only, sir. अब मैं history बोलूं. History can't be hateful.
Instigating the two communities by this?
Sir,
Are you not instigating the two communities?
how am I
by this?
instigating, sir? What am I supposed to say? That Jinnah was a great man? Am I supposed to say Jinnah as an Indian, sir? As a proud Indian, am I supposed to say Jinnah was a great man? Can you imagine, viewers? He wants me to. Okay, shut him down. I can't hear this. Am I supposed to, as a proud Indian today, put 5 stars on that anorexic individual called Jinnah? Am I supposed to, viewers?
He was the son of India before becoming the
Sir,
father
thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. And look how he turned out. Look how he turned out. Look what he did to Mother India. Look what he did to Mother India. Viewers, if there are people here who have sympathies for Jinnah, I need to shut them down. I'm sorry. I do not believe in the creation of Pakistan, and call me a hate figure if you think that the creation of Pakistan was a great act by a son of India. I cannot believe what I've heard tonight. You scratch a little deep and out comes the vitriol. Sad, viewers, but true. Sad but true. Let's move on.